Welcome to Foosball Radio. This episode of Foosball Radio is brought to you in part by 518 Prints. For all your custom foosball apparel and swag, 518prints.com. Represent. Well, hello again. I'm Tom Robinson with Chuck Dooley and Nino DeJean. We're smack dab in the middle of the month of More. When we last got together, we were chatting with Ryan Moore. He has lots to say, and we're ready to present this second of 3 interview segments with one of the greatest foosball players in the world. As you'll hear this time, he has something to say about life on the road.
And I have a refrigerator full of steak, hamburger meat, and cinnamon buns, so I'm doing pretty good.
Cinnamon buns, yes.
All the essentials, huh? The essentials to keep you going.
It's the month of More. Foosball Radio, the ultimate foosball podcast with Ryan Moore, returns after this.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan Moore, and I listen to Foosball Radio.
95% of success in life is showing up. But to be truly outstanding, you have to represent. Leave that to the pros at 518 Prints. Top-of-the-line printing for just about anything you can wear. Screen printing, embroidery, and promotional items designed to your specs. Leave your mark with 518 Prints, especially for your foosball jackets, tees, hats, bags, and more. Turnaround is rapid with the best quality material. Represent. Hit them up now at 518prints.com or visit the brand new store at 7th State Street in downtown Troy, New York. Telling the story of foosball, one player at a time. Foosball Radio. So life on the road. I mean, tell us about what that's like. How do you guys feel about living on the road?
Man, it's actually been really enlightening. I've never lived in an RV before, but it's made me very simplified. I have heat. I have cold water most of the time, sometimes hot water. and I have a refrigerator full of steak, hamburger meat, and cinnamon buns. So I'm doing pretty good.
Cinnamon buns, yes.
All the essentials, huh? The essentials to keep you going.
That rocks. So, that is awesome.
No, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, really, it's it's nice. It's simple. I've always lived in a pretty nice house or apartment my whole life. So
yep.
It's the simple life. It's kind of pulled us back. And when we went and looked for a house, we actually started veering away from the big houses because we were like, we don't need all that space.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
So more maintenance.
No, it makes sense. I mean, we Americans, we want our space, right? We've got more rooms than we can possibly live in one time, mostly. And it's like that lifestyle. Of course, we're what we call house poor. So we live in these great big houses, but we can't afford them.
We're indebted.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe you're onto something here. We should all be traveling around the country just playing foosball.
I think you're onto something here.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. So, any plans to be on the East Coast soon?
It's funny. We were going to schedule our wedding to be on 420.
Okay.
It seemed like a really fitting date. It's just like, I'm a man, okay? And men just don't remember anniversary dates. And I'm like, this is one I can actually remember.
Can't forget that one.
I got really excited about, oh my God, a 420 wedding. I already have the plans to go around the thing that we get wedded under. I mean, we're good to go.
That rocks.
And if you forget, everybody else will remind you. That's right.
Yeah.
But then again, it's the same weekend as Maryland State. It's the same weekend as Garlando. Our family. It's also Easter Sunday. And we're just like, okay, no. So what I'm getting at is, we might try to hit up Maryland that weekend,
cool.
or if we can't make it out to Garlando, or well, I don't even know, man. We literally live in our life 1 week at a time. At this
Sure.
point,
It's all right.
When it comes to the future of foosball itself and what we do with Foosball Radio, we need your opinion. What is it that do you think we can do as an organization, as Foosball Radio, to help forward the sport and make things more cohesive, shall we say?
You should just break into like ESPN and just steal the ESPN3 air, and you
Nice.
guys goal. If you guys do that, you are set. You just make.
Yeah.
There's a business plan for you. Yeah, there you go.
Got any names we can contact? Anybody you know?
No, really, I think the biggest thing for you guys, and don't get me wrong, I have not been super in line with anything that you guys have done so far, but consistency, man. That seems to be like one of the biggest ways to get, the name out, is just to have some consistency. So as long as you guys are constantly putting out media and
Sure.
and finding good topics, I mean, you can't really do much more besides coming out of pocket.
Yep.
So if there's ways to maybe move around money, find a way to bring in money, and then reroute it to advance, the sport, maybe something like that.
Sure.
Obviously, the future of the sports with the kids, we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
kind of get the good talk, the good part of this message, where you don't hear me talk about the bad stuff, and you can get that in front of the kids. That's cool, I mean,
Sure.
really, that's kind of it, man, is help creating the buzz. I mean, we all love this sport, and you guys are going to be very easily able to portray that, so
Cool.
that's the big deal, man.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Hey, I got a question for you. I remember when you were growing up and you were a teenager, and Billy was the same way. You had all kinds of skill. You could do pull shots, push shots, pull kicks, push kicks,
Where are you getting at now?
But then you settled down to like one passing series and one shot, and you started
I
winning
did.
more. What made you flip that switch?
Did you say I started winning more?
You started winning a lot more, yeah.
Oh, shoot. Well, that must have been why I did it. I mean, if you've seen me play recently, it just depends on the tournament and what event and how big it is. But I still do a lot of that fun stuff, all the time. But when it comes down to the real big matches, sure. I mean, I'm doing a standard series. I mean, the reality is when you're doing all the fun stuff, you're going to be half focused on what you're doing. When you're doing a standard series, you can be 100% focused on what your opponent's doing. You can't put that much mental power into something if it involves you having to do some really crazy move before you hit the ball, So when you lock it down to a very simple method, whether that be mainly that's a set series, even if it's a tic-tac, a brush pass, a stick pass, same for a shot, a snake, a pull shot, push shot, even pull kick. I mean, even a pull kick. I mean, just if you do a single series, it allows you to beat your opponent off of your mind versus off of just surprising them every time with something different.
Right.
And that's what will ultimately make you advanced, is to lock that person down with if you can figure out how they think, you win. It's just a very simple game of chess, so that's why I did that. Is I started strategically beating people instead of just beating them off of craziness.
So it's more about the chess match than anything else.
Yeah, you can actually pin somebody down when you do that. Whereas if you don't do a standard series, you can't pin them down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And see how they react to your standard series, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And then there's a point though, I mean, where, the cycle comes back where you have to go back to the beginning. Like when you're playing somebody that's at equal mental capacity as you or better, now they're understanding you.
Right.
And that's the point when you've got to start flowing a little differently, mixing it up, understanding what they're catching on you. And, that's where, the evolution of the game happens. It's people get better and better at understanding other people. And that's the trick, man. When somebody's beating you mentally, how do you adjust to win?
Sure. Now, is this something that can be taught? I mean, the mental game, there are, aspects, of course, being physical is one thing, but then when it comes to the mental or the strategic aspect of foosball, is that something that can be taught, or is it something you just kind of have?
I think that the answer to that is it depends on the status of the player. If the player is advanced enough and has played foosball long enough, it can be taught. If they're new to the game, they're going to be like, what the hell are you even talking about? You know, so it really, I think, like, you know, I've tried to teach people mental stuff, and it's very difficult to put what's in your mind to your hands until you get to a certain level of foosball that you can actually do that. The mental side has to be to a little more advanced player, I think, when it comes to teaching.
At what point in your career, and how old do you think you were when the mental part and the physical part came together?
That was only a couple of years in, man. I mean, when I was 14, I started winning. I think I was still a rookie at 14, but I advanced every year. I went up a rank is the way it worked. I went rookie to amateur, amateur to expert, expert to pro to pro master.
Sure.
And I think obviously when I was probably just two years in after I really started, I started actually getting a mental game.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I started thinking everybody was stupid. But that's why I was an arrogant little punk.
There's that.
I was an arrogant little punk, and that's why I was always talking crap and screaming at people and stuff. And it was just antics. I was you know, juvenile. So, but
we missed that.
You were being a kid. That's all.
Hey, it comes out every now and then.
Sure.
You never know what you're going to get from me. That's one thing. You know?
That's all right.
That's why we like you.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole process by which, you know, the kids are going through. I know that because Nino, I don't know if you're familiar with Nino's son, Sammy Dijon. He's, you know, making. He just made expert, in fact, at the age of 10. But he's moving forward, and so anyone like a Sammy Dijon out there, what's your best advice for them?
Quit playing foosball.
See, I knew that was
That's
coming.
the best advice you can give, Ryan.
I knew that was coming.
So if you had a choice, you would quit then? And go back to video games, or?
You know, hey,
Chicks, man. Chicks are where it's at.
All jokes aside, man, like, this is something that I think Tony would say the exact same thing. We want competition, man. Like, when you get up to this level and you have one person winning or the same two people in the finals, if they're both playing, it gets old, man. Yeah. Like, I mean, it happens in all sports. It happens in tennis too. I shouldn't say all sports, but it happens in other sports like foosball.
Sure.
Yep.
But you know, people want that. They want the diversity. They want the upsets. They want to have some kind of, I wonder who's going to win this time, you know? So I think we have the same niche group of pro masters for the last, since I've been a pro master. It's been the same pro masters. The only other people that came up to the pro master level was like Blake, I mean, you know, and a couple other people, but really there hasn't been many breakthroughs to pro master.
That's true.
So we really, I mean, dude, that kid, you don't need to give him advice. All he needs to do is just get his hands on the foosball table and stay there.
Yep.
And Sam's he's there. I mean, he's going to be one of the elite. But I mean, dude, I didn't even start playing foosball till I was 11. He's an expert.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a head start for sure.
Now, if that kid wins a world title before he's 17 years old, I'm you know, hopefully it's not me in the finals.
Yeah.
Didn't
Time
he
to
win
quit.
rookies, Nino?
What's that?
Didn't he win rookies?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I was just meaning open singles. I think right now the record's 17. Open
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Who
Was
did
that-
that?
Yeah, that was tied by Tommy Atkinson and Tony, I believe.
Oh wow. Jeez.
I'm correct about that. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that's what it was.
What about Tommy Orr, the youngster?
There you go. There's a breakthrough I didn't mention.
Yeah.
Man, you know, it's funny, man. I've seen him like come about. He didn't even care about foosball a couple years ago.
I know. The
He
kid's
went
a
over to
beast
World
now.
Cup. Yeah, he went over to the World Cup. I remember he's a junior. He's just like, whatever.
He didn't even care about it. I know.
Yeah, screw this. Oh, we lost. Woohoo. Who cares? Let's go hang out.
I wish he had that, you know, I wish, you know, he was playing like that then. I mean, that was Sam's first year at the World Cup. And, yeah, his attitude was like, hey, who cares, you know? And
Right. Yeah, the who cares, which, you know, usually happens when you get beat, you know, so. And you know, he learned to, it's true, man. You got to learn to lose before you can learn to win,
Sure.
you know? So,
Yep.
you know, he finally, I don't know what it really was. I remember him saying a couple of little things. I remember him being a coach. Was that when he was a coach when you were talking about?
no, he played Sam's last year when we were in Germany when you guys won it. He was on the team, but it was like, you know, he could care less, and you know, it was pretty disappointing. But like you said, you gotta.
He's come back since then. Huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah,
You gotta lose to win, so you know, maybe that was a breaking point for him. You know.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of when he was like, screw this. I know that if you do watch his game and you took his hands off and his face off, you'd be questioning whether it's him or Tony.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it is what it is. What did he do? He took Tony's game. He decided to say, "That's me. That's going to be what I'm going to do."
Yeah.
And I'm going to mimic it, and I'm going to come and beat him. And he actually did once. I'm pretty sure.
No doubt.
But you know, it's still not now that I think he's at the level, or he's going to be at that level, unless he hears this and it motivates him. He's going to be stuck where he's at for a little while, because it's the pro to pro master hump. Even if you just became a pro master, now you're with the elite. You only get to play the events that the pro master is in. The only time you're ever going to win again. The only time you're ever going to win any event that matters is if you beat the best players in the world.
Sure.
And that is the hardest hump to get over, because it's very difficult to lose and not even place and try to figure out how the hell do I get to the point where I win.
Yeah. That's
and then you start questioning whether it's even possible.
Especially after you put all that work into it, and you can see that you've got the skills.
Sure. That's got to be super, super frustrating to get to that level and not be able to step forward.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, for a lot of people, they'll just break through. All you gotta do is win one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's a smaller one, it's you know, you only have to beat one pro master. You don't, if Tony's not there and you still win, it doesn't matter. Like you just got to win one, and all that does is that gives you the confidence to keep pushing on.
Sure.
The breakthrough.
Luckily, I didn't have to go through that, because I actually, once I hit pro master, I was winning open singles and doubles at that point. Mainly open doubles. Open singles was still difficult for me, but yeah. Sam doesn't need a lot. He's on the right track.
He's on the path, and he's got a mouth on him too.
Yeah, he's got
That's what matters in my book.
Chuck, Nino, and I really enjoyed spending time with Ryan Moore, and we are not done yet. Next time on Foosball Radio, we'll present the third and final segment with Ryan as he gives us his unbiased opinion on this game.
The Olympics already has so many sports in it. What we have to wait for is, for one, a sport to be dropped off, and then two, for us to be the next in line to actually be the one to come in.
Here's hoping you're having a great month of May with tons of sun and foosball. My sincere thanks to Chuck and Nino. We also want to give a huge thank you to our online guru and graphic designer from solargravity.com, Eric Cicino. You rock. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Drop us a line anytime about anything at all at info@foosballradio.com. That's info@foosballradio.com. We look forward to hearing from you, telling the story of foosball one player at a time. We are Foosball Radio. See you on the table. Foosball Radio was brought to you in part by 518 Prints for all your custom foosball apparel and swag. 518prints.com. Represent.